Okay, next card we're going to make is going to be this cute little mouse holding this ornament. It's from the Merry Mice set, and we're going to be using taupe and real red, but I'm going to show you how to do the watercoloring. And we have this washi tape out of the catalog, and we also have some of this metallic thread combo in red and green that we're going to put on there. Okay, again, colors I'm going to be using: Dapper Denim markers, Garden Green, Real Red, Smoky Slate. This one is Crushed Curry, Old Olive, Pink Pirouette, and I have a blender pen. Inks I'm going to use VersaFine. Now, VersaFine Black, yeah, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell it, but the nice thing about this is it works great on bumpy paper like watercolor paper. And since we're using watercolor paper, this is a pigment ink. I mean, you could emboss with it, but it works really great for what we're going to do. And because we're doing watercolor paper, we're also going to use the MISTI to do this. Okay? Okay, so we're going to open our MISTI, and opposite from where I put this big stamp here for the mouse, you're going to slide your watercolor paper right down in the corner, and then you're going to put your magnets on here. Now be really careful those magnets don't slap together because they can cause damage. Then you're going to take the VersaFine. Now the VersaFine doesn't have a cover, and it also has this piece of paper in there, so just flip it over and it snaps into place. Hold the paper in there with your finger, and then you're going to ink the stamp with the VersaFine. Get him in his little coat and set it down. Now if you notice, first time, VersaFine made that on that bumpy paper. First time, gave me a good impression, so I'm all set with that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this piece of paper down here so I don't stain my MISTI with that ink. So I'll have a sheet of paper in there. You can just put it down there. Okay, now notice I have the verse for the outside of the card right up here. So all you have to do is put your outside of your card, slide it in here. You don't even have to use the magnets for this because you got your whole card back here. And you can ink the VersaFine on this. You don't have to use VersaFine for this. But here's the sentiment. So we're just going to go ahead, and while we got this thing, we're going to put the sentiment down, and now it's all set. Oops, I got my mouse. Oh well, I got it on the back, but we're not going to, that's because I should have put the paper on top of that. Yep, something to learn. Okay, so that's what you're going to do with the MISTI. Put the paper on top of your cardstock. That little piece of paper that I'm going to put in there, put it on top of your cardstock so you don't do something stupid like I just did. Okay, fold your cardstock, and now what we're going to do is we're going to actually watercolor the mouse. Now I'm going to use markers, and I'm going to use a blender pen. And how I like to use these blender pens is, some of the things I like to do, I like to take the brush under the marker and put it right on the acrylic block. Works really good because I don't really want dark gray all around that mouse. I want the darkest gray on the outside of his face, and as I come into the beginning in the front of his face, I don't want so much dark there. So that's the Smoky Slate. And to clean the blender pens, even though they look yucky and they look awful, just rub them on the scrap paper. Now if you want something darker on your Smoky Slate, just take and add a little around the edges, like his ears, down in here, around his face. It just makes his face look round if you do this. Okay, I'm going to put some down here because I can blend that in now with my blender pen. We're just going to color, oops, forgot his little hands. Put his little hands in there. And then I'm going to take my blender pen and I'm going to actually go right over top of that and just kind of blend that in so it looks a little more natural. It'll also take away some of the color. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with his shirt. I'm going to take the Dapper Denim. You can use Pacific Point, whatever color you want on there. Okay, I'm going to give him a blue shirt. I'm going to put it. I like the blender pen because markers put too much ink down a lot of times for me, and I like to blend my colors a little bit. So I'm going to put the darker colors here, and then notice I can just take my blending pen and just pull it in, and I can add more color up in here where I want it darker, where there might be shadows, and leave his belly lighter. Okay, clean off the marker. The rest of the stuff I did, I colored the green with Old Olive, and I just used the marker straight from that, garden green or one of the other color greens, and the yellow here for the star. So color him in any way you want, and I'll be right back to put the card together. He's all colored in, except I like to put a little shadow under him, so I'm just going to mix my smoky slate and just a little tiny bit here with my blender pen, and I'm just going to kind of like put a little blue shadow underneath him and where he's standing in the ball. And don't forget to clean your pen up for the next person and cap it, and that's it. And then we're going to put it together. Now he's going to be mounted onto a piece of Real Red. So I'm just going to put some double stick tape down here, mount it on the center of the Real Red. Then, as you'll notice, he's down on the card first, so I'm going to put him on the card first. Okay, and then you're going to take a little piece of both colors of the red and green metallic. Now this is optional. If you don't want to mess with it, you don't have to. It can get a little tricky. Just take about a 12-inch length, wrap it around your finger several times. Okay, just kind of hold it there for a minute. And take about a 2.5 inch piece of the washi tape. Notice it's rough on one end. As you notice, my card is kind of tore, which I kind of like. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, you can tear off a piece, and then I'm going to cut this straight there. Now set your tape, set your metallic string down on your card. This gives it a little more festive look. You can do this or you can leave it off. It's up to you. Okay, and then I'm going to just put my washi tape down to kind of hold it. And I'm going to move it down so that it's kind of off and on. If you can see that, it's off and on. And then I'm going to go over here. Let's just get that thread up underneath there. And then, now washi tape, usually I have to turn it under something, but if you have it on the very edge, you can actually take your scissors and you can trim it right off, right along the edge. Press it down really good right there. Okay? And that's how to make that little mouse card.